was mad. I was mad at the food they were feeding my brother, my diabetic, heart disease brother. So I took matters into my own hands and I brought him every meal. And by the time he left the hospital, what do you know? He didn't need insulin anymore. Ding! But now Richie is out on his own and he has to make his own decisions. And if Richie is going to change his body and his life, he's gonna have to change his mind. But I can't preach to Richie. I'm not gonna argue with him and debate him. All that ever does is make someone really defensive and defiant and more stubborn. If I'm gonna help Richie, all I can do is 1, lead by example, which is the most important, and 2, provide new information. But there's a catch, because most of us don't make decisions based off of facts. That's a fact, and we'd be way better off if we did. We make decisions based off of feeling, off of narratives, from who we vote for to the way we dress and look and who we love and who we judge. It's all based off of stories we've been told and stories we tell ourselves. So I'm plant-based, but that doesn't mean that I'm just going to tell Richie, hey, you should be plant-based because I'm plant-based. That's not fair, and most of all, it's not effective. Richie is the only person who is going to be with himself 24/7, 365 for the rest of his life. He has to make the decision on his own, and he has to come to his own conclusions. And a lot of times, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I'm not gonna say anything at all. I'm just gonna let some other people tell Richie. People who he might admire, people who remind him of himself, who he can relate to. And most of all, people who are going to say some things that he would never expect them to say. Richie's gonna watch The Game Changers on Netflix.
Yay, yay.
It's time for The Game Changers. Okay, so I made Richie watch The Game Changers, and I said, you better watch this, and because there will be a test. And this is the test. So I told him, you better come prepared because I took notes. And as some of you know, Richie is very book smart, but I am very people smart. So
that means I should ace this test.
You should ace this test. Okay, so The Game Changers. The Game Changers is, it's narrated by a man named James Wilkes, who was
military fight combat instructor and also an MMA fighter.
Awesome. A former MMA fighter. Awesome. And he basically, we follow his story, his journey after he gets injured and he is bedridden for about 6 months. And so he goes into research about recovery and nutrition. And what does he discover?
He discovers quite a number of things. The first thing he discovered that was with the gladiators. Mm-hmm. And basically how their bone density was, and then and that most gladiators were like vegetarians.
That is correct. Wow, maybe this is going to be a really good episode. So tell me, Rich, before because I told him, okay, this whole journey, I'm going to go along with you, but I'm going to make you watch things and change your mind about certain things or provide new information for you. So you kind of rolled your eyes, not gonna lie. But then I made you watch this. You cooperated. What was your first impression before you watched this, going into it?
I just thought it was going to be a bunch of like nutrition facts and just basically how you need to eat like a rabbit, and everything was going to be just like carrots and greens, and that and then providing a bunch of like nutritional facts, and that's pretty much was. Thought it was going to be extended version of that.
What did, in one word, like describe what you thought
After watching it? Mm-hmm. I was shocked.
What were you shocked about?
First thing I was shocked about was the options, the many varieties of food that they offered.
So let's first say that the Game Changers is about eating what?
A plant-based diet.
There you go. So you were shocked about a plant-based diet?
Absolutely. I didn't realize that there was so many options and that they made so many different foods that were actually plant-based. So
what tell me, because we all know you love sports. I'm pretty sure that a good place to start with you would be about all the different athletes that that told their stories about how eating a plant-based diet really changed their lives and affected their performance.
Absolutely, because there was a number of experiments done. They had one with the Tennessee Titans, the Miami Dolphins, UFC, college baseball players. There's
tell me about the Tennessee Titans. Let's start there.
That's the best story there is.
All right.
Because it started with Derek Morgan.
Correct.
He's outside linebacker for the Tennessee Titans, and he was looking for something to speed up his recovery, and he makes a note on the fact that 100% of NFL players get injured.
Right, injury rate is 100%.
And so he was looking for something to actually help recover his body and help him out in his performance. And his wife, who was she was a chef. And,
she is Charity.
Yes, and she started preparing plant-based meals for him. And so he started this plant-based diet and started enjoying the meals. And then it started with one, and as the other players were kind of noticing what he had, they were like, yo, let me get some of that.
Yeah, because he was bringing it to the locker room,
right,
and they were seeing it and smelling it, and they were
like,
just
man,
like,
that
what
smells
is that?
Good. I need to get some of that, bro. And what's the deal? And so he kind of explained to him what it was and how, this is all plant-based food, and it's going to help with your recovery, your performance, and everything. So it started with one, and it ended with like 13 players on the team that were turned all plant-based. And
well, they were coming over. I'm not sure if they were all totally plant-based, but they started to come over, and they asked her
it was every Sunday.
Meals.
Yeah, they were getting the meals prepared for them on a daily basis. And also every Sunday they would gather at his house and after the game and all sit down and enjoy like astonishing meals.
Wait, tell me what happened though. Did it work?
Oh yeah, and they actually went to the Super Bowl that year and only failed to win the Super Bowl by 1 yard.
Plant power.
Yeah, but
what were they eating?
That's the thing. Derek Morgan's wife hooked it up because there was hamburgers, wings, truffle mac and cheese. There was Brussels sprouts, and then they finished it off with this peanut butter cheesecake. I was looking at all that food, was like all that's plant based. And sure enough, every drop of it. And I was just blown away. And all I could think about was like probably the way the other players thought about it. Man, I need to get some of that. I want some of that right there. I just want to try it. So, it was just astonishing to see like the different meals and options that you had. And I was like, how in the hell are they eating chicken wings that is plant-based? But
like she took all of their favorite recipes and she just made it with better ingredients.
And like I said, it looked delicious. And so
tell me about the Miami Dolphins.
With the Miami Dolphins, they took 3 players, 2 wide receivers and a defensive back, Michael Thomas, Griff Whalen, and Kenny Stills, former Saints player, by the way. But who is now currently with the Saints again. Anyways,
welcome back.
They basically did a test by giving them all one chicken, one beef, and Griff Whalen happened to already be a vegan and on strictly plant-based diet, so they stuck with giving him the plant-based, and they did a blood analogy, and basically they showed their plasma and their blood flow and how all that affects performance. And even Kenny Stills was like, I always eat fried chicken. Fried chicken is my thing. And after seeing the results, he was like, guess gotta stop eating that fried chicken.
What were the results?
Well, the results they were looking at were basically how cloudy and just how it affected their whole blood flow. And the cloudiness would represent, the how much thickness in their blood that was causing, impairing the blood flow.
Right, and blood flow is so important, right? Blood heals, and it's what's sending all of our vitamins and our nutrients through our body. And so this was affecting performance. Right? And it was like very noticeable.
Absolutely.
The vials of blood were like, it was disgusting how thick. It just looked like fat. And
that's what it was. I mean, it was basically showing the fat that got into your bloodstream and how thick it would affect your plasma level. And the thing about it is when you eat something like that, it affects your body for like 6 to 7 hours. And this is something that they would eat prior to a meal or prior to a game. So when they would eat that kind of fried chicken or big steaks and everything, it's really going to take a toll on your body and affect exactly how well you are able to perform.
You know what it looks like? It looks like whenever there's a meal that went cold and it's like maybe a southern food or like Crisco oil,
exactly.
And it gets, whenever it's like cold and it's all like crusty and it just looks like the oil is on top of it. It really just looks like that.
Yeah, but when you have when they took the samples of the plant-based, it was transparent. You can see right through it.
It's pretty clear, yeah.
And for Griff Whalen, both his tests, he was already on a plant-based, so his was just as clear as can be. And then for Michael Thomas and Kenny Stills, it started off very thick and like you said, kind of like greasy and looked like cold grease on it. And then afterwards, the second day when they ate the plant-based, it showed how theirs was also clear. And he mentioned that it affects you for at least 6 to 7 hours. And
good job. All right, you're killing it. Tell me about the UFC.
Oh, this is an interesting fact. The whole Conor McGregor Nate Diaz fight. Little did I know that Nate Diaz, he is actually on a vegan and on a strictly plant-based diet. And Conor McGregor was talking a lot of noise and kind of was putting Nate Diaz down and saying he's like half the man. He's soft. He doesn't even know how to eat. And he's just basically just talking mad noise. And Conor McGregor was eating like 2 steaks a day was his meal or regimen. And
it's funny too because Arnold Schwarzenegger is a producer on this documentary, as well as Jackie Chan, James Cameron. Those are just kind of the famous names on it. There were other producers.
Yeah, there's Chris Paul, there's Novak Djokovic, 2 famous NBA players that are also.
That's awesome. But it's funny when they show a little B-roll clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a movie, and he's like, "You hit like a vegetarian."
That's funny. But Arnold, speaking of Arnold, I mean, he comes into the film and they interview him, and he's almost 69, and now he has also changed his diet and become strictly plant-based, and he's madly surprised with all his results with the cholesterol, all his levels.
His lowest cholesterol level.
Yeah, in his life.
His life.
Yeah, that he's ever experienced. So that was kind of...
That's a good segue into the marketing, right? So what did he have to say about meat eating and men?
Eat like a man. Real man eat meat. A real man looks better with a quarter pounder in his hand.
Yeah, you look more like a man with a quarter pounder in your hand.
And then he also makes mention of how like the George Foreman grill and, you know, cooking beef and chicken and everything, just the different ways that they conducted the whole marketing aspect over how basically it went from cigarettes then to meat. And
well, a lot of these industries do it. Even the milk, remember Got Milk?
Oh, yeah.
Like that wasn't even a brand of milk. It was just about milk. Like that's crazy. It's the whole industry is promoting this product.
Milk does a body good.
And cigarettes, the only cigarettes that doctors recommend or that doctors smoke themselves. They used to tell people that cigarettes were healthy.
Yeah, the most famous baseball player of all time, Babe Ruth.
And they use athletes. They use
and
athletes.
Babe Ruth smoked all his life, and he ended up dying of throat cancer.
So, but what did you learn about actual testosterone and let's talk about estrogen. Do you remember that part where, you know, a lot of people have heard that soy products are dangerous because they provide too much estrogen into your body, and it's actually phytoestrogens.
Right, that actually protect the body from estrogen.
Right. They
and
block
they're
the
blockers.
Receptors. Very good, Richie. Very good. Plant-based foods do, right?
Right.
Soy and
that you actually get more estrogen from eating livestock feed or whatever.
Or any animal products.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Is that your note? That looks good. By 26%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drinking cow milk can increase our estrogen levels by 26%.
Dropping testosterone by 14%.
Yeah. So, what's up, man? Speaking of manly men, tell me about the collegiate baseball player experiment.
That's they took 3 amateur collegiate baseball players, and basically did a study on the man, in his junior man. Basically, the doctor that
study on erections.
The penis.
The penis.
The penis.
Do you remember the doctor's name?
Oh.
I'll find it for you. Do you remember the book title, which is great?
It was The Penis Book. That's what it was known as, The Penis Book. But
Aaron Spitz, MD.
Who was
Doctor's Complete Guide to the Penis. So, what did they discover?
Basically, how many times the body would have an erection, and the strength and girth of your erection. So,
and for how long?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, how did they conduct the experiment?
Well, they basically used this like tester that they had to put onto their penis when they slept.
We can let them watch that. I just mean, was it done just like the other, the blood test, where some of them ate meat?
Yes, it was. It was actually. They were all this time they were all fed all plant-based meals.
So, but the first night, actually.
Yeah, the first night they had like chicken, pork, and it was beef. A high quality, like it was
grass-fed, organic.
Organic chicken and pork and grass-fed beef was the first thing that they ate, and then
on the first night,
right? And
then the second night,
they were all given a plant-based burrito. Yeah, it was a burrito, and so even the players were kind of shocked. They were like, "Man, I thought we were getting like a salad or something." And the test results were just through the roof because every one of them had results in their number and how long the erections were as overnight was 300% or more. One of them was even up to like 477%. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they were all shocked by looking at the results, and they couldn't believe it. And the erection strength of it was like 6%, 6 to 8%, I think, between the different players.
I don't know. I didn't write that part down.
Yeah. Let's see.
But fellas, you want the plants in your pants.
Yeah, like they said, if you're taking your girl out to Valentine's, you might want to go to a veggie spot.
Like, we're going to Salad Express this year.
We're going to the veggie grill.
Really good. The story that I liked was about Dotsie Bosch.
Oh, the cyclist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I just liked that she was 39 and a half, right? I'm 39 now. And what happened to her?
Well, she was a U.S. cyclist on the, I forget what it's called. There's a certain term. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
What do you mean? On the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah, but she was. I know it was cycling, but they call it something. I don't remember.
Oh, what they call the sport?
Yeah.
But tell us about her story.
All right. So when she was 35, she was considering retiring because that's what most people do at that age. And she began her changing her to a plant-based diet. And as she was on this diet, she started noticing how the effects on her body. And basically she could lift more weights and almost double her.
Some crazy.
Yeah, like over 500 something pounds on the leg press.
I mean, this woman is just as lean as can be.
And that she was the one who was motivating her teammates, like, come on, let's do it again. Let's go another. And her teammates were like, golly, how do you have so much energy? And she said she never had that kind of energy before. And that her progress was so dramatic that she's like, they had to take me to the Olympics. Yeah. And in the Olympics, they won the gold medal, and they came back against, I want to say, Australia or somebody. They were down over a second and a half, and they ended up making up the ground and winning the gold.
That's right. And it says she's the oldest person to go to the Olympics in her event, both male and female.
Correct.
What I love about her is that, one, she's also from Kentucky, so her cultural surroundings didn't really support.
Actually, she's from Kansas City.
She's from Kentucky.
Kansas City.
Kentucky.
Kansas City.
We'll fact check it. She's from Kentucky.
Oh, right. We can do that because I remember.
This is my receipt for being correct. I will run this so many times. Either way, she is a Southern woman.
Yes.
And, I just think it says a lot about we reach a certain age and we're just like, oh, we feel limited. If you're like me, you always feel like it's too late to do everything, right? And she continued to keep going, but also got better and better. So
another story similar to that would be Houston's own Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis is one of the most prestigious gold medalist and Olympian of all time in the U.S. And I believe he's won like 9 gold medals. But he even mentions that when he began his plant-based diet, and at the age of 30, he was in the best shape of his life and set world records and known as the fastest man in the world during his time. And so, yeah,
he was one of the earlier athletes to be known to be plant-based. It says in 1984 to 1996.
Right. And prior to him, there was Edwin Moses, who was a U.S. hurdler, and he was also a plant-based diet.
Yeah, they started off by listing all these athletes who were plant-based and winning, right? But they were also all like in speed races, and they were all runners, and so or swimmers, right? People who tend to need to be lean, But then they like really dropped the bomb on you, and they're like, well, what about all the big guys?
Yeah, what's up with the big men and everything? And then they started with Kendrick Ferris, and he was the only male Olympian weightlifter to represent the U.S. And
in 2012,
correct. And he actually broke 2 American records.
Correct. But tell me about, I know that you had to be inspired by...
Patrick Bamboobian. I apologize if I didn't pronounce the name. Bamboobian. Yes, he was a very big inspiration.
Who is he?
He was his origin of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And,
correct.
And that he is known as like the strongest man in the world.
One of the strongest men in the world.
Right.
Like and he's actually won the competition certified.
Right. and he's in the record books for being able to lift and carry the most weights over a certain distance.
Do you remember how much weight?
I believe it was 1,224 pounds.
That is correct.
Nailed it. Kansas City.
But what does he say? I love him. Well, what's this story first about why? Because when you see this documentary, I mean, this guy is massive and it's really impressive. And you just watch him and you're like, why would anybody have the drive to even be that strong or to do what he does?
Well, I mean, the funniest thing is the quote. When people ask him, how are you as strong as an ox, but yet you don't eat meat? And he says, have you ever seen an ox eat meat? Exactly. And so, I mean, that made a lot of sense in the fact that when he was young, unfortunately, his father, mother, and little sister were in a car accident, and only his mother survived. And he started lifting weights at like 14 because he wanted to protect his family. And he really wanted to be like a superhero and to be able to lift cars and, do superhero-like things. And what's crazy is this man can actually lift a car and roll it over and by himself. And I mean, it was astonishing to see. And I was just blown away at the amount of, and he got stronger as he started his vegan diet. He got bigger and stronger. And the feats and everything that he accomplished were unbelievable.
Do you want to talk about the firefighters? Did you like that story?
I did. They made a fact that 67% of firefighters in the line of duty die from cardiac arrest.
Right, not from the fire.
No, from a heart attack. And there was also something mentioned about 85% of those who experience a heart attack will have a second heart attack, and the second heart attack is actually what ends them and kills them.
Good job. That is like verbatim true. Good job, Rich.
So, but the firefighters basically they took all the whole unit, the department, and they challenged them to go on a 7-day plant-based diet only. Every one of them had their levels, such as weight, cholesterol.
They dropped 100 points in cholesterol.
Right.
The average
right? Was like 6 pounds.
6.12 pounds, yep. Average weight loss. Drop in blood pressure. One guy lost 11 pounds. It was a 7-day challenge. He lost 11 pounds in 7 days. Yeah, the cholesterol drop was, the average was 21 points. Yeah. So that's pretty impressive.
One more fact I like to mention about the firefighters that I completely relate with is a gentleman made reference to whenever I ate like a normal animal-based diet or meal, that afterwards I was just strictly looking for the couch and trying to just put my feet up and turn on the TV or even go lay down. And that's something I can completely relate with, is the fact that, anytime I would eat a big meal, and I'm sure athletes kind of, it relates to them as well. Yeah, you eat that big meal, then you want to go to sleep, and you get that food coma, and you just want to, there's no chance of you doing anything for at least an hour. As opposed to when you do eat a plant-based diet, you can right away, and like the firefighter said, you can go fight a fire, or you can do work. There's things that you can accomplish, and you don't have to wait an hour. You don't have to feel all sluggish, because you actually still have the energy to be able to go and perform.
It takes a lot of energy to digest a meal, especially a meal that your body's not designed to do. You know, when they talk, I thought it was super interesting when they talk about our ancestors and how there's this huge myth that our ancestors survived off of meat, but it was really hard to hunt and to kill animals. And then, you know, so they survived off of a lot of fruits and vegetables.
They said 95% were vegetarians.
That's right. You know, and it was just kind of misconstrued because our artifacts that were found were all the weapons and things that they used. But of course, food disintegrates.
Yeah, it
you
would
know?
decay. And
but do you remember the strongest evidence that we have about us being vegetarians? And
the teeth, how basically carnivores and everything have like shredded scissor style teeth, and our teeth being squared is the biggest evidence that we wasn't really meant to consume meat. We don't have that style of teeth. You know, we have the flat squared off teeth that
square and low cusped.
Yeah, to basically chew plants.
And carnivores have sharp scissor shaped teeth for shredding meat, right?
Exactly.
And I thought what was really interesting is the trichromatic vision.
Oh yeah, being able to see in more color.
And why was that important?
Because to be able to see fruits and vegetables in how ripe they are, and as opposed to most animals having just dichromatic. Carnivores. Was it called dichromatic?
Dichromatic, probably.
Yeah, but they can only see basically like almost black and white.
So let me ask you, so we have longer digestive tracts, right, than carnivores, and we digest fibers and plants that require longer processing time. We lack the ability to produce our own vitamin C, and that indicates how reliant we are on plants. Do you remember what our brain needs for energy?
Glucose.
Good job. And meat does or does not have glucose?
No glucose in meat.
What food has glucose?
Well, you can get a great source of glucose through carbohydrates.
Correct. And that's what our body craves and needs.
And that's where the energy comes from, is through carbohydrates that you digest.
Yep.
But there are good and bad carbohydrates. People are, the keto diet, Atkins diet. They basically say they eliminate the carbohydrates, and that's the way they talk about losing weight. But unfortunately, that's not the proper procedure. And because once you go back, you just pack the weight right back on. And the truth of the matter is the good and bad carbohydrates that you consume, such as the bad ones being like sugar and
empty carbs. They're carbs that they're empty of nutrition, right? And they're quick to absorb through. You want a slow absorbing carb, a whole food carb, right?
Yeah, they made note of like bananas, sweet potatoes, oats.
Well, those are carbs, because people are like, oh, carbs make you gain weight. Well, actually,
those
whole food carbs actually help you lose weight.
Right. We eat a lot of sweet potatoes.
Something I was going to tell you about, or ask you about. Oh, let's just talk about keto, because there's something that you said that, like, of course, if you go off of any diet and that diet was working for you, then yeah, you're going to gain weight. But keto, there are a lot of people who lose weight on keto, right? And so there's nothing wrong. However you do what you do is on you. I just think that it's proven that meat causes cancer. Processed meat causes cancer. That is a fact. And when you cook meat at high temperatures, it makes it even more cancerous. for the body. So, and a plant-based diet is the only diet known to reverse heart disease. So for you, I'm not just concerned about you losing weight. What I want you to think about when you think about food and the diet that you're going to maintain for a lifestyle is optimal health. And so when you're eating, it's not just about like, oh, is this going to make me gain weight or lose weight? It's how much nutrition is actually in this, vitamins and minerals. You know, I want you to eat for nutrition and eat for fuel and eat to be disease free and find foods that are actually going to heal your body.
Right. And like you said, it's the only diet that has the reversal on
proven to reverse heart disease.
Exactly.
And so let's talk about heart disease. And what did you learn about animal products and heart disease? This is something that I found really interesting, and maybe you won't know the details. But, you know, I think that they've always said red meat, right? Or processed meats, or just stay away from red meat. Red meat's the bad one. But actually,
fish and chicken. Any type of basically animal feed.
Products, right? Dairy as well.
They said a vegetarian that eats fish or chicken once a week will multiply their chance of colon cancer by 3 times.
Yeah, that's true. That's really good. I have that in my notes.
And the other thing was dairy products. Dairy products increase the chances of prostate cancer by 40%.
Yeah, they were talking about all kinds of cancers. Yeah. That's awesome, Richie. You did good. I mean, so far you got an A. Let me see what else I was going to ask you. Ask that. Oh, this one's big for me. So, you know, it's one thing if you're looking for a diet to simply about your health, you know, I get that, and I hope that you care about your health. But one of the main factors for me being plant-based is the effects that the meat industry has on our environment.
Those were some very interesting facts indeed.
So I kind of want to, in case you don't watch this documentary, I just kind of want to just read this stuff out loud to you so that you just have some facts. Because the reason I care so much about this is that I think that we are constantly hearing, oh, we have to save our planet. We have to save our planet. But the truth is that we have to save our species. And when I say species, I'm talking about your kids. I'm talking about the generation of human beings. So just listen to some of these facts, okay? Meat, dairy, and fish farming use 83% of the world's farmland and provide only 18% of the world's calories. It requires so much land because animals are only the middlemen, consuming 6 times more protein than they produce. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So more than 70 billion animals are consumed each year. 70 billion animals are consumed each year. Growing animal feed requires vast amounts of land, making it one of the leading drivers of deforestation. Also requires huge amounts of water. Overuse of fresh water. 25% of the rivers no longer reach the ocean. One hamburger is
2,400 liters of water, of
embedded water.
But
it's also causing a lot of water pollution because farm animals produce more than 50 times the waste than the entire human population. The livestock sector is responsible for 15% of global man-made emissions, which is more than all the emissions from all the what?
Transportation in the world.
More than all the transportation in the world.
That was a crazy fact.
This is a crazy thing for me. It said the U.S. is has 3 times the global consumption of meat. We eat 3 times more meat than the whole
world.
And if we shifted away from animal-based diets, it would reduce emissions by 73% and save 1 million liters of water per person per year. That's crazy. And globally, this would free up land the size of Africa. So I just think that's so crazy when you think about all the things that we take for granted as Americans, right? But water, like when I went to India, we didn't eat like fruits and vegetables because of the water, because they don't have a lot of clean water. So they fed us literally like potatoes and rice and curries every day. And it was just shocking, the amount of clean water that they have, you know, and here we are, we're using massive amounts of water and growing massive amounts of food on all this land only to feed these animals that then are going to turn around and people are going to eat. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. And so I'm not saying like, hey, everybody just stop eating meat. This is, you know, the only way out. But I'm just saying maybe we can eat less meat.
Slow it down.
Chill out, you know, if you care about your kids. I mean, none of the politics or the wealth and anything that you're worried about is even going to matter if they don't have a place to live, you know, if they can't survive on this planet. So that's my big soapbox spiel.
There's just tons and tons of information that come from this documentary.
Yeah.
And that is truly eye-opening.
Did you see why I wanted you to watch a documentary like this in particular?
Yes.
Because there's so many great food documentaries out there.
Yeah, and like I said, I came in with the misperception of, you know, what it was going to be about, and not realizing the facts that were involved and how the different experiments that they used which explored the different options that you had. And I just thought it was all going to be like salad. And to find out there's unlimited options was completely just mind-blowing.
And I recommend, you know, if you're really curious about health and food and the food industry, and really anything, I recommend that you check out documentaries, because mainstream media, it just, in my opinion, cannot be trusted. And there is such a wealth of knowledge in these documentaries that are so well done. And I especially love the game changers for the demographic that it can speak to. That it can actually, you know, reach someone like you and a lot of people who look like you and think like you and have the same experiences, and really just kind of spin the story in a way that is impactful, you know, and just full of facts. So I think there's a documentary out there for everyone if you do want to learn more about it. So, Rich, you've been on this plant-based diet with a few little stretches. It's been the holidays, right? But mainly you've been on this diet for about a month, totally. You've lost how much?
35 pounds.
Awesome. That's crazy. That's a lot in almost 4 weeks.
Right.
But
and
how do you feel?
I feel really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I once again, like I said, I have energy at all times of the day, regardless of when I eat and immediately after I eat.
That's that glucose.
And I mean, the meals have just been fabulous, and it's unbelievable, really, the things that we eat. It makes me question. I'm like, y'all got to be kidding me. This is plant-based? How is this not chicken? How is this not fish? How is, everything? We've had, corn dogs?
Yeah, that was junk food, but I definitely want to show people.
But it was a plant-based.
Yes, it is plant-based. So there's a difference when you hear people speak about vegan versus plant-based. Oreo cookies are vegan. They're not necessarily plant-based. Like plant-based is talking about whole foods and nutrition. You know, we give you a lot of plant-based meat substitutes, right? But we're also filling you up with a lot of whole foods, vegetables, and you're eating fruit, and you're, you know what I mean? So there is that difference when you speak about it. But you got to start where you are, one. And I promise it's a whole lot better than processed meat. You know, it's better for your body. It's better for the environment.
Besides the big steak that I was eating all the time prior to, everything else that I ate in the past, we've, kind of eaten.
Yeah.
But they've all been like plant-based or soy-based substitutes. And it's, if you were to take a blind testing, it would be extremely hard to tell the difference. And some of them you would actually be more fond of on the plant-based than you would with the animal product. So
you plan on sticking with this?
I do.
Is this something you think you can stick to?
This is something I can easily stick to because, again, I mean, the options are, there's plethora of different options. And it's like starting over again and seeing what you like and what you don't like and just being able to retaste things. And for me, not smoking anymore is something that helps out with being able to taste and smell the food.
Well, we're going to have a whole episode about cigarettes. Don't you worry.
The Surgeon General over here.
Right. I am super, super impressed. I think you passed with flying colors.
Hey, Steve.
Really good job. I hope that you're happy that you watched it. Yeah.
Definitely. I highly recommend it. I mean, anyone out there, I mean, if you're just looking into your diet, your nutrition, athletes, anybody, I mean, there's something that will definitely relate to you and give you cold hard facts that make you understand why a plant-based diet is so much better for you.
Yeah, so check out the Game Changers. If you have already, comment below, let us know what you think. And thank you so much for watching the show, and we can't wait to see you again.
As always, please subscribe.
Ooh, good job. You're a pro. One episode, you're a pro.